Peter King in less than 15 minutes. We call it on Tuesdays our Herd Hierarchy, top 10 teams in the league. Here we go.
Herd Hierarchy.
Time is now. Let's go.
The top 10 NFL teams according to Colin. Number 10.
Minnesota Vikings have a ceiling, but their defense is starting to sort of resurrect itself from last year. I look at a handful of defensive statistics. One of them, third down defense. Right now, they lead the NFL in third down percentage allowed. Their league rank, so they're getting people off the field, and they're also very good in the red zone defensively. Again, Kirk Cousins in big games, don't trust him, but when you play defense like this, I think they're going to win their division, so Minnesota, number 10. I thought the Houston Texans win in Denver was kind of a big deal. That's a tough place to play. The Texans' defense now, that front, is playing very well. And there are some things in football that make me smile. When quarterbacks who are young and talented, like an Andrew Luck or a Deshaun Watson, come off an injury and they get right back into the groove. And Deshaun's last 3 games, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions, 133 quarterback rating. He's a remarkable young talent. He's a good dude. He's mature enough, emotionally strong. This is going to be Andrew Luck and Deshaun Watson's division for many years to come. Texans at 9. Pittsburgh Steelers. I still don't think they're great with the details, and there's always too much noise for my taste. But their last 3 opponents have been held under 300 yards. I don't worry about the offense. Their pass rush is excellent. Mike Tomlin's a defensive coach. There's always going to be some things about the Steelers under Tomlin that drive me nuts. But when I see them get their defense right, I mean, James Conner, give credit to that staff. Statistically, is better than Le'Veon Bell so far. Steelers at number 8. Eagles coming off a bye. By the way, Doug Peterson's 3-1, the 4 games off a bye, so that's a good sign. Peterson's a good coach. Philadelphia brings in Golden Tate, like the Cowboys with Amari Cooper on a bye. I think of all the acquisitions, this one is really going to be interesting. Golden Tate will be an extension of the running game, and it's really the part of their team. Their perimeter speed is marginal. They don't have playmakers on the perimeter. Nelson Aguilar's good. He's not great. So I think the Eagles, number 3 in third down defense, they get you off the field and get the ball back to Carson Wentz. Eagles at 7. I put the Panthers 1 spot ahead of them. Even though Carolina was outplayed for 3 quarters against Philly, they came back and won in Philly in the 4th quarter. Now, Carolina's always been sneaky good at home. They were 8-0 at home a couple years ago. They're 5-0 at home this year. Their schedule gets much tougher. And of all the teams in the top 10, they're the least dynamic over the top. They're a running game, Greg Olsen, but Cam Newton deserves a ton of credit. He's not the MVP, he's the MVC. It's the most valuable Cam's ever been. 100-plus passer rating in 5 of his last 7 games. He has embraced Norv Turner. They're a power running team. They don't make a ton of mistakes. He's now giving you multiple touchdowns a game. Carolina's schedule, though, gets much tougher this point forward. I got him at 6. L.A. Rams, even when I had them number 1, I said every week, they don't have a consistent pass rush. I don't like this Dante Fowler move. He's a me guy. He's kind of doing his own thing. Marcus Peters this weekend reverted back to Marcus Peters. Why Andy Reid let him go? Doing his own thing. Ndamukong Suh in Miami, they let him go. Doing his own thing. I don't like the Fowler move. I think the way they look at it, with their offense, they're going to be leading playoff games, and they can't sleep at night if they don't get Dante Fowler a pass rusher. I don't think he's worth 2 picks. I don't think he's a great locker room guy. Now, again, against the Saints, 45 points, 480 yards, no sacks. Now, I know New Orleans' offense is good. It's not that good. And remember, Seattle dropped over 30 on this team. They've got some defensive issues. I don't think their linebackers are playmakers, good in space, and I don't think Fowler solves their pass rush. Chargers are good enough to win the Super Bowl, except they just cut their field goal kicker. Doesn't it seem like they're always cutting their field goal kicker? They really dominated Seattle. The score doesn't indicate that because they left 7 points off the board because of PATs and field goals missed. But they've won 5 straight. In 4 straight games, their defense has allowed fewer than 20 points, and they're doing this without Joey Bosa. So they're only going to get better. Chargers at 4. I put Kansas City above them, and I think it's really close simply because Kansas City has had the Chargers' number over the last several years. They're averaging 36 a game, first in the league, most by any team through Week 9 since the 2013 Broncos. That was the Peyton Manning Broncos. Listen, Andy Reid's a great coach, a great play designer, and they have a fireworks show of talent. Eric Berry comes back at safety, helps. Houston defensive end will help. I still think they can be a little sandlot offensively, so I'll put them at 3. New England Patriots right now would represent to me the AFC in the Super Bowl. They've won 6 straight. It's your typical New England story. Not great in September. We all claim they're dead. They get red hot in October. And then in November, they play a big Sunday night football game, and they just look fantastic situationally. I'll tell you this, Trey Flowers, anybody notice him Sunday? Defensive lineman, boy, he has become a force. He has become a top 10 defensive lineman in this league. And remember, Sunday, no Sony Michel and no Gronk, and they still won. We had him number 1 last week before the Rams game, and we've got him number 1 right now, the Saints. You can't run on him. You can't run on them. Now, I think they're susceptible, and you saw it on Sunday on the back end of the defense. But the 2 parts of this team, because Drew Brees is so great, that are being overlooked. Their offensive line has only allowed 9 sacks. Their offensive line now has become the Cowboys 3 years ago. Fewest sacks allowed. That's a great offensive line. We just don't know their names. We knew all the Cowboy guys because they were first-round picks. The second thing is you can't run on the Saints. So that defense is better than the Rams and the Patriots, and that offensive line is as good as the Rams and better than the Patriots. Saints, number 1. Good stuff.